Subscribe our channel. Stay till the end of the stories for more twist and turn. Comment us about what kind of stories you like to hear.
AITA, for not forgiving my husband for a mistake he made a decade ago. When I had our oldest child, I planned for just my husband and me to be there. I wanted to support but not to be overwhelmed, and he was happy it would be just us. He said if I had let my sister in the room like she wanted, he would have expressed his issues with it. The labor seemed fine enough. A buddy wanted to see him before Buddy went on vacation. Buddy even had the audacity to say, I should have had the baby sooner. My husband went to see him off. He never asked. He just told me and I was having a contraction, so I literally couldn't even tell him I wanted him to stay. While he was gone, things took a turn and they told me I was becoming high risk. I opted for an epidural in the event I needed an emergency section because they said I was on my way to the OR if our heart rates got worse. I wanted to wait, but I couldn't take the pain, stress and lack of support all at once. The nurse did her best to assure me I was amazing and making a good choice. My husband strolls back in, big smile on his face, and starts talking about the fun he just had. I cut him off to tell him I was livid, hurt, and that he could go sit in the corner until pushing time. He was only there because I wanted to tell our child he was present for the birth, that I was the better person and he should be grateful. He sulked away and the nurse treated him accordingly. I stayed high risk and the room flooded with nurses at pushing time. Fortunately, both baby and I surprised them, though we were both monitored for a few days. I agreed to go back to our home under the condition every single demand I had was met. He agreed, though we continued to have some rough moments. With our second, I had my sister present. I told him it's because I knew she wouldn't let me down. He didn't argue, but I know he was hurt by this. The birth went really well and he was a good support. We have had many ups and downs since, including a separation, and now we are trying to reconcile and are in therapy. He brought up recently this and asked if I forgave him. I told him no. I'm never going to. I don't bring it up anymore, but the anger and disappointment I felt then is still as strong as it is now. He looked defeated and said he can't apologize anymore for it, and as long as I hold on to that anger, we are going to have trouble moving on and building trust. I don't disagree with him, but I don't think I can forgive him for that. I know he's made improvements, but that moment changed how I felt about him and saw him as a person. I honestly feel like allowing him in the room at all was all the kindness he could have asked of me. But admittedly, I did that for our child. I don't bring it up, and our therapist said I am good at giving opportunities, but I don't think I'll ever be able to say, I forgive you for that. Edit. The second child was not planned, but a birth control failed while we were working on our marriage. I did not intend on having another child with him until our marriage was in a better place, but I accept it, and I do not regret having the second child. He was present when our second child was born, and even cut the cord like he did with the first. Edit. I'm done commenting for now, but I would like to clear things up. I did end the marriage for other reasons. My husband wants to work things out, and I am trying giving all of his efforts. He has also read the comments. Despite many of you judging me and taking his side, he can't feel supported by this. He also doesn't understand how you all blame me for stringing him along. He is the one who wanted another chance that I didn't have to give to him. He absolutely does not want me to end our relationship over this and is worried about the encouragement I have been given. With some of the other comments, he's realizing how unfair he has been to me. He absolutely brings it up to soothe his own guilt, not because I do anything to him about that. We both will discuss this with our own therapists, and well as the marriage counselor, when we can finally get back to her.
Auntie, that was an awful move. I would say that if this was the only issue you two have, then holding on to it, and regularly holding it over him, would be bad for the health of your relationship. But it sounds like there are enough other problems, in therapy, and that this came up only in therapy, that it's reasonable. I hesitate on you banning him from the second child's birth, especially as that was a rare opportunity to demonstrate his growth that he wasn't given, but I do get your position. I think it is something that you need to actively work through in therapy, though. I think you and he need to figure out what it will take to come to a place where you're capable of moving on from this somehow. Otherwise, I think it continues to symbolize the irreconcilability of your relationship. I didn't ban him. Second kid was unplanned and I was allowed 2 people in the room at the same time. This was way before COVID. I said he was a good support and did win back a lot of trust. It isn't our only problem. But we have made a lot of great strides. He's a child of narcissists and a people pleaser and basically put me second to everyone for a long time. I am skeptical going into this reconciliation, but he did tell my mother off and I don't think I can describe how big of a move that was. I know it's probably feelings, but I love him and I do trust him in many ways. But that particular instance was a lot. My life and the baby's was on the line. It was horrible to go through alone. It sounds terrible and reminds me so much of my best friend's husband who left her to go smoke weed with his buddies right after the wedding ceremony, and ditched her for most of the wedding. She just came second in everything. It was really hard to watch. Eventually, they cut me out of their friend circle, because I called him on his shit one too many times, and she made the choice to stay, despite being miserable and knowing he would never put her first. I do hope he changes, for her sake, and the kids, but I couldn't be around it anymore. I hope you can find some peace, as well. I don't envy your situation. Look, it's clear this still hurts you. And you know what? That's fair. What your husband did is ridiculous and infuriating. He left you at your most vulnerable. Even if it had been smooth sailing, he'd be TA. Here's the thing though, he's going to be in your life no matter what because he's the father of your children. Do you want to go through life and with all this pain you're carrying? My therapist once told me I was in an abusive relationship with my own anger and pain. I hated it, but it had become comfortable and I loved it too. I think you might be in this boat as well. You need to find a way to put away that anger for you, not for him. No matter what you think of him, you don't deserve to go through life holding on to this pain. It's okay to say how he acted changed your view of him, but the two of you need to figure out what he can do to earn your trust back. If you don't trust him, the relationship will never work. He also needs to stop apologizing. Saying sorry isn't good enough here. He needs to take action to earn your trust back. You both need to recognize this will take time. He has to show he'll have your back and support you and not ditch you when you're in a vulnerable place. NTA and sending love. NTA. He chose his vacationing buddy over his pregnant wife who was in labor. He also prevented you from having her sister there as support. You could have died while he hanging with his buddy. His decision has long-term consequences. He just has to deal with it. If you and the baby had died, he would have to live the guilt of his decision. Also, instead of saying that he is sorry, he should take this as opportunity as a chance to become a better husband and person and earn your trust and respect. Going to be honest, how are you married, and having more kids with someone you won't forgive? It just seems like a terrible idea to me to still be in a relationship like that with someone you resent for something they did years ago. You don't have to forgive him, and I don't blame you for not, but that's not conducive with marriage and raising children together. Solidly ESH. NTA. Women and children die during childbirth every day. You looked death in the actual face, even if you came through more or less healthy and unscathed, and made a difficult medical decision while alone and under duress. Your husband left you alone to handle a uniquely emotionally and physically demanding process, and your experience must have changed you deeply. I don't think you should ever feel beholden to accept his apology. It might be healthier in the long run if you're able to let go of the resentment, but I honestly believe you are not at all to blame for how you feel now. You were left alone to fend for yourself and your unborn child while in a massive amount of pain and distress, so much that you might have needed surgery? Yeah, fuck him and his past behavior. I keep seeing comments saying I suck for holding the resent, but how do you let that go? I almost faced our kid dying by myself. The pain of labor just added to it. All because he couldn't tell his buddy they could wait to smoke a cigar. I am trying to work things out because he has changed and he is trying, I'm trying not to end things because of my feelings, and I'm fighting them to give our family a chance. I don't bring this up. He does and always makes a big deal about me not forgiving him. I honestly feel like I can't win this one, and no matter what, I'll be the asshole. I know I'm an online rondo that's barely scratched the surface of my 20s, but I can say with confidence that you do not suck. I can only imagine that you were laying in a hospital for hours thinking that, either you or your child could die, and he wasn't there for you, and he wasn't there for your child, his child. That's a significant act that shows his character in a very bad way. You are actively working to heal. He is trying to prove he's grown from that mistake. I truly don't think anyone sucks here, except certainly past him and, maybe, present him for continually bringing it up. You can accept an apology, in my belief, without extending forgiveness. To forgive him kind of seems to say he didn't do anything wrong, which he definitely did. And you can't exactly give birth over and over and over until he does the right thing enough times to make up for what he did. I don't think it serves anyone's interests for it to be repetitively brought up, and it speaks more to him wanting you to get over it than him honestly trying to make up for what happened. However you handle this with him and your family depends on a lot more factors than just whether you feel like an asshole, but ma'am, you are truly not in the wrong here at all. That's a traumatic birth experience if I ever heard one, and that's something that sticks with you. It's interesting you bring this up. I've seen posts about people missing births of their kids and users defending the wife like she'll never forgive you, you'll never make this up. Yet I'm being told I suck for doing exactly that. Not only that, I'm really trying. I have forgiven him in other ways. I do trust him in many ways. This is one I struggle with. Thanks for listening so far. If story have update we will post here. Like and subscribe to our channel for upcoming stories.